One, two, three. We are here again, another exciting video for Fusion 360. Today we're going to be covering Fusion 360 Soil in Iota, one of our flagship products. Very unique product, very important for plant agriculture, and we're going to discuss the benefits and how it works. So one question that we like to ask ourselves is, what's plant agriculture's number one problem? And what we have found is tie-up in the soil is plant agriculture's number one problem. Intensively farmed soils have a lot of issues with mineral release and mineral uptake, and have caused a lot of damage for plant defenses and just general plant growth and yield. So kind of what I was stating, intensively farmed soils have suboptimal nutrition. Sterile soils with low natural suppressiveness to diseases, and lack of microbiology and ecology is a big issue in intensively farmed soils. So what are some of the qualities in what we call virgin soils, or soils that haven't been intensively farmed? And what we look at is, at least Dr. Tom Yamash, the founder of Fusion 360, really took a deep dive and a close look at what virgin soil would look like. But when we look at the microbiology, we notice a variety of different things, some being basic stuff that you can see with the naked eye, such as earthworms and potworms and snails in different quantities. But when you really get into the specific and microscopic level, you'd have an array of bacteria, actinomycetes, fungi, protozoa, algae, nematodes, beneficial and pathogenic nematodes, and tardigrades. And these are some of the different levels that a healthy soil should look like when it's a virgin soil. Another important part of soil microbiology, it enhances the release of minerals that tend to be locked up in the soil when intensively farmed. And what we have found in our research is that through applications of enhanced microbiology, creating an ecological continuum where these microbes continually feed on themselves but grow on themselves and reproduce and produce different organic acids and different chelating agents in the soil and help with root structure, is that a soil with increased nutrient will have higher release of cations and different minerals, and will help prevent mineral tie-ups such as calcium and phosphorus tie-up. So that's one of the key benefits of soil microbiology. And this is an illustration depicting basically what a soil with intense farming would basically look like in terms of mineral release in the soil. So what are some of the necessary elements for increasing soil microbiology? So other than just applying microbiology, you also have to have the conditions in the soil for the microbes to thrive. Number one being the pH. You got to have a balanced pH for certain microbes and fungi to grow. Without a balanced pH, you're kind of in trouble. You need water, plenty of moisture. Dry soils will just have much less soil microbiology. You got to have adequate moisture throughout the whole growing season and even during the off season to maintain those microbiologies. Essential inorganic elements such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, etc. All the exotic minerals are very important for proliferation of soil organisms. And then organic compounds such as organic matter. We've always found that soils that have a 2% above organic matter content in the soil always seem to have much healthier levels of soil microbiology and less opportunity of pathogenic microorganisms to thrive in the soils, because the free-living nematodes and beneficial bacteria and fungi are basically feeding on the more specific targeted pathogenic type of organisms. So organic compounds are important. That can be cellulose, carbohydrates, proteins, organic acids, all the above. So what makes up microbiology, or what makes up basically the cell wall of bacteria? And this is what this is illustrating, is basically a bacteria is mainly made up of carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, and phosphorus, just like any living organism, but also different minerals such as sulfur, potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, chloride, and iron, along with others in minute levels. So how does Fusion 360 Soil and Iota tie into this, and how can it help? So Fusion 360 Soil and Iota is the 360 approach. It's the full circle approach that Dr. Tom came up with. It's basically what's going to help solve the problem of tie-up in agriculture. So what does the technology look like? And so basically Fusion 360 Soil is a complex source of carbohydrates and soil precursors that help feed native soil organisms. That's our food source. So we like to add this, especially the rates depend based on different types of soils. A sandier soil might require a little higher rate to increase organic matter, and a heavier soil might not require as much, depending on what a soil sample would look like. But that's kind of how we base the Fusion soil applications. And there's a lot more to it than carbohydrates and precursors. There's other items that help with energy dynamics and help increase the energy of the root or the plant, and also the microorganisms. Soil also improves availability of fertilizer, so it prevents mineral tie-up. We've done a lot of work with calcium and phosphorus tie-up and preventing that, and we found that we can minimize the tie-up as long as we have adequate amount of organic matter and also adequate amount of microbiology thriving in the soil. Improve soil water infiltration, water holding capacity, and soil tilt. So it helps with the soil structure, helps with soil structure, water penetration. We've worked in soils north of the Sacramento area, in the Sacramento Valley, where they're very heavy, have issues with water penetration, and we've been able to overcome basically heavy brittle soils and get water down to deeper levels. Degrades potentially toxic chemicals in plant exudates. So when you have chemicals such as allelopathies, or maybe soils that have been intensively farmed with heavy pesticides, we've been able to degrade them by using the selective soil microbiology that help feed on these different compounds and turn them into shorter carbon chains that are then used to feed microbes and are recycled in the soil. And increases root health and structure. So as the soil microbiology thrives, there's higher amounts of mineral release, higher amounts of organic minerals, and they help with the root development and root proliferation in the soil. So how can it be used, and what are some of the benefits we have found? We can use them organically and inorganically. They're almost the same, little different, but we have both forms. Fusion soil organic and inorganic, and Iota organic and inorganic. And we've done some trials with looking at basically nitrate leaching, which is a big issue everywhere, but in California there's a lot of regulation going on. So we looked at different ways that we can prevent it, and we did a couple trials where we built different cylinders and created a soil structure, or we did basically a 3-foot cylinder with soil in it, and we activated at different amounts. As you can see here, we had a control, a 5-gallon application, 20-gallon application, 40 and 80-gallon application. And what we found in these different rates of application of soil and Iota combined was that after time, we ran calcium nitrate through the cylinder or the soil profile, and we collected it at a stop gate down in the bottom, whatever went through the profile. And what we found is as the rates increased, we had less levels of nitrate leaching through the soil profile. And even with time, after about a month's worth of collecting and running calcium nitrate solutions to the soil, we found that at higher applications of Fusion Soil and Iota, we maintained that or prevented nitrate from leaching through the soil profile. What's another thing that soil and Iota can help with, and we've covered this in some of the other talks, but basically resistance is a big topic with Fusion. We try to, what our goal is to create a resistant plant, a plant or a host that's not going to that's going to respond much quicker to a disease or maybe an abiotic stress. So one thing that Soil and Iota can do along with the full Fusion 360 program is it could help increase mineral uptake. It could then lead to higher integrity of cell wall, plant structure, plant defenses, responses. So by minimizing soil tie-up, we can increase the rate of response that the plant has. And this is what this slide is illustrating. Basically, when you have a resistant plant, within the first day of a heat stress or a disease intrusion, the plant will respond rapidly, as opposed to a weak, succulent, nitrogen-dominant plant that might take maybe 3 to 4 days, and by that time you've sacrificed some yield or you've let the disease establish itself. Here's another illustration that Dr. Tom Yamashita put together, and it kind of ties it all together. So what else could soil and Iota do? And soil or the soil microbiology will increase the heat of the soil. We have found that sterile soil, such as the blue block on the side, it's a potato block in Idaho that had been fumigated with telone, was sterile, so it didn't get to warm up sooner in the growing season, as opposed to a pivot that was applied with Fusion soil adjacent to that block that had much higher heat, much higher production of CO2 and growth, and it was able to get its soil temperature higher and maybe get into early planting, or just have better response and better movement in the soil. Those are our Soil and Iota flagship products, standalone products for Fusion 360. Hope you like them.